Well, you know what? Speaking of TV, I just want to ask this one as we're talking. Have you seen For All Mankind?
I haven't got an Apple subscription, but I have watched chunks of it on YouTube, and I love it. I love it because I love space stuff anyway. And I've done various episodes on the space race. I did the Apollo 11 moon landing. I did the Apollo Soyuz mission, which was where the Soviets and the Americans did a joint mission, docked in space, shook hands, and that was about it. But it was a major, during the Cold War, that was just incredible. And I think also a lot of people don't realize is that Kennedy at one point said to Khrushchev, the Soviet leader, let's do a joint mission to the moon. And Khrushchev declined his offer. Apparently, it's because Khrushchev was worried that the US would realize how primitive the Soviet base systems were. But yeah, For All Mankind looks brilliant. Brilliant premise, brilliantly delivered. And I love alternate histories as well.
It's very interesting, I should say. I think if you watch it all the way through, I had to turn my history brain off because for anybody who hasn't seen it, the conceit is the Russians get to the moon first and it changes all of that stuff. But it's on season 4 and the alternate history, for me, I have to turn my brain off for. Because a lot of things happen where you're kind of like, well, even if the Soviet Union got to the moon first, like this stuff wasn't going to happen. And then, of course, there's a lot of soap opera stuff in between. But the space stuff is cool as hell. I mean, no show is doing the space stuff better than what they're doing. But I digress. Sometimes you got to just turn your history brain off and just let it wash all over you.
Well, people often have arguments about movies based on historical events. My view is they're always going to take shortcuts because the story can be quite complicated and they want to be able to explain it easily to a viewer that doesn't necessarily know that piece of history. But if it gets that person's interest and they want to learn more, then they may well come to Cold War Conversations or come to History Nerds to learn more about that particular piece of history. So yeah, it can irritate you and you can yell at the TV when you're watching this stuff. But if it gets people interested in that period, then they can learn more and learn what the true stories are of that period.